gun companies refuse sales to state governments with strict gun laws. From Breitbart.com, this is the story that our listener Josh Lee sent in yesterday. 6 gun companies have announced plans to stop selling any of their products to any government agency in states that severely limit the rights of private gun ownership. Disappointed with New York State lawmakers and other jurisdictions around the country who have passed strict gun control legislation, the companies composed of firearm manufacturers, gunsmiths, and sporting goods retailers have announced these policies in the past week. Their various statements emphasize that such laws create a class of government employees with rights and a class of citizens without rights. Thus, they refuse to aid the enforcement of such inequality. And we brought you this story last week of LaRue Tactical, who wrote, effective today, in an effort to see that no legal mistakes are made by LaRue Tactical and or its employees, we will apply all current state and local laws as applied to civilians to state and local law enforcement / government agencies. In other words, LaRue Tactical will limit all sales to what law-abiding citizens residing in their districts can purchase or possess. Sounds really noble, falls short of the more important implication of the
I just
sales
came
to
across
federal
a
agents.
video. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but Joe Biden's telling people they don't need assault rifles. Go buy shotguns.
Go buy a shotgun. I saw that.
Yeah.
It was kind of embarrassing to hear that this is the guy that Obama put in charge of the gun control debate or issue, moving it forward. Joe Biden, who was the head of that series of panel talk or whatever they were, serious, important, official, one-time only government councils, and the task force. It was a task force, right, or a committee, something like that, something very important sounding like that. That was the Obama administration's response to Sandy Hook.
Sounds like the kids' table.
Yeah,
You can be head of the kids' table. then.
exactly, exactly.
You're in charge. Make sure no one gets out of line there.
Yeah, because the whole purpose of it was a distraction. It was just another bullshit distraction from the real ripoff here. Olympic Arms. Due to the passing of this legislation, Olympic Arms would like to announce that the state of New York, any law enforcement departments, law enforcement officers, first responders within the state of New York or any New York state government entity or employee of such an entity will no longer be served as customers. Now, that I like even better. We're just not going to do business with government. In short, Olympic Arms will no longer be doing business with the state of New York or any governmental entity or employee of such governmental entity within the state of New York, henceforth and until such legislation is repealed, and an apology made to the good people of the state of New York and the American people. Extreme Firepower LLC. The federal government in several states have enacted gun control laws that restrict the public from owning and possessing certain types of firearms. Law enforcement agencies are typically exempt from these restrictions. EFI LLC does not recognize law enforcement exemptions to local, state, and federal gun control laws. If a product that we manufacture is not legal for a private citizen to own in a jurisdiction, we will not sell that product to a law enforcement agency in that jurisdiction. I love it.
Only they can have the guns.
I love it.
This will be dependent on them for their services.
But this is the
Yeah, that's
you know
right,
what
yeah.
this represents?
Yeah, people, just staying that they're not gonna
It's
supply their goods to the government.
more than that, Daryl. As a market analyst, you should be able to see that this represents a demand of the market. This is how the tables have turned. The demand of the market is not just to have government armed as much as they want to be armed. The people are saying, yeah, maybe we'll put a little check on that. And it's coming in the form of future gun purchasers who are more likely to support a business taking this stand than one that isn't. This is something that has happened now at the board level of the decision-making process in 6 significant arms manufacturers in America, where they say, wow, you know what? It's better for our bottom line if we just cut off these customers from these certain products. Templar Custom. We will not sell arms to agents of the state of New York that hold themselves to be more equal than their citizens. As long as the legislators of New York think they have the power to limit the rights of their citizens in defiance of the Constitution, we at Templar will not sell them firearms to enforce their edicts. Perhaps this came in the form of enough people writing in. Perhaps there was some movement behind this, some voice in the night that spoke to all of these gun manufacturers and said, you know what? You sell to the government, don't you? We're going to take our business elsewhere. Templar Custom is announcing that the state of New York, any law enforcement departments, law enforcement officers, first responders within the state of New York, or any New York State government entity or employee will no longer be served as customers. York
to the people.
Arms. Based on the recent legislation in New York, we are prohibited from selling rifles and receivers to residents of New York. We have chosen to extend that prohibition to all government agencies associated with or located within New York. As a result, we have halted sales of rifles, short-barreled shotguns, machine guns, and silencers to New York governmental agencies. And here's the big one, cheaper than dirt. I think they're one of the biggest online ammo dealers.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but they're definitely
I got their
That's
catalog
still
in
good
the
that
mail.
they're not
Yeah.
supplying them, so a portion of the guns cannot be taken away.
Cheaper than dirt says. Recently, companies such as LaRue Tactical and Olympic Arms have announced that they will no longer sell prohibited items to government agencies and personnel in states that deny the right to own those items to civilians. It has been and will continue to be cheaper than dirt's policy to not sell prohibited items to government agencies and or agents in states, counties, cities, and municipalities that have enacted restrictive gun control laws against their citizens. We support and encourage other companies to share in this policy. Second Amendment activists groups Guns Save Life, and Grassroots North Carolina are currently urging big gun manufacturers Sig Sauer, Smith & Wesson, and Glock to halt their sales to government agencies within states that have clamped down on their residents' right to bear arms. You want to live up to the values of libertarianism, be a conscientious consumer, and have your voice heard. And talk to these people. Talk to the people that are selling guns to government, because it looks like we've come to an interesting tipping point where this one small pillar of support, at least, can be knocked out. And we can say that we will not, in our retail, personal purchases of firearms, support companies that are empowering the government. So, check it out. Guns Save Life and Grassroots North Carolina.
Well, it's interesting to me that our own government is watching Facebook in the first place.
No kidding.
Sergeant, are you having fun?
Join humanity. Thank you for protecting us from his penis.